Hey, Tom here, FlipAnythingUSA. So today I thought I'd start talking a little bit more about land. I've got quite a few students now in my class that have become millionaires on land. And more recently, some people have been inquiring about it. So, I like everything. The more diverse of an investor you are, the much more amount of money you'll make by having that flexibility. And, I always tell people, say, a lot of people are afraid of land. I say, listen, just about everything you buy is sitting on a piece of land. So don't be afraid of land. And anyway, we'll get back and talk about that very quickly.
And listen, time is on a mission to eliminate all of the snake oil and the fake gurus that fake y'all. He'll show you how to build an empire, starting with nothing but a desire. All you really need is a good mentor, not a used car bullshit. With time, you'll learn to crush it. Investing like Warren Buffett. With real estate, you cannot procrastinate. Everyone who hesitates is left at the starting gate. Hey, yo, so don't delay and join today. The mentorship and flip anything. USA, go.
All right. Hey, Kevin, good to see you in here. Yeah, I'm glad you can hear me a lot better. Having some audio issues the other day. And by the way, I've got a webinar this Thursday, 7 p.m. Got some great new students in the class too. Signed up in the last couple of weeks, and it's a pleasure to have you here. I got some women too. It was nice. I've got about 90% men, but that women factor is starting to grow quite a bit, and I'm glad to see it. Got some really, got the best and brightest in the class already, but it's really great to see more women in the class, and I'd like to see more of it, to be honest. But we got a lot of partners out there when I'm, as far as husband and wives working together, and it's very, very cool. So look, I want to tell you about land though, because look, the way I discovered it, I'd already bought. Let me just take you back here a little bit. I'm just going to take you. First, we'll go back here. So I started buying and selling property. You guys know the story. If you've been watching me for any amount of time, this is the area I started buying up, and I bought an industrial building and a commercial building. I did a couple of assignments or wholesale deals here, and then flipped some houses and on and on and on. Well, this is back when I was 19 through about 23, 24 years old, something like that. And then in about 1985, I guess I would have been about 23, 24, right in there. Maybe, 85, because I just saw one of the trust deeds. I started building homes. And so I was out here at Lake Elizabeth, and I bought up some lots. Now for every one of these blue drops, or what do we call these things, indicators, I bought at least 5 lots, right? So if there's 10 of those, there's 50. I think I bought about 70 lots there actually. So the way I started is I set out to build some homes, and of course before I built some homes, I started looking for lots, and I applied the same logic I applied to everything I buy. I only buy property under market, no matter what it is. It doesn't matter if it's a house, a building, commercial, industrial, whatever, big acreage, whatever. It doesn't matter what it is. Apartment buildings, everything has got to be worth substantially more than I paid for it. And so I started buying lots out here, and these lots are only like 50 by 100 feet. And, when I bought these, there was no sewer out here, so I had to use septic systems. And, when you have a septic system, you have to, there's a couple things you got to do out here. For one thing, to make sure that it perks, percolation test, so that you can put in a septic field. If some of you probably never even heard of that term, but basically it's the rate at which the effluent water soaks into the ground and dissipates. And so before you can put in a septic field, you dig a hole about 10 feet deep by about 5 feet wide. And then at the bottom of that, or even a little deeper sometimes, then you dig a square hole about a foot deep, about a foot by foot square. And then you basically pour water and fill that thing up to the brim. Put about maybe 5 or 8 gallons of water in there. And then there's got to be a guy there to witness it, that, basically measures and and makes his determination at the perk rate. So that is some of the things that you got to go through. The other thing, of course, you want to make sure you got water meters. And so anyways, I did my due diligence and I bought properties and I made sure the ground perked. And then also I had another factor out here, and this isn't normal, but this is right along the San Andreas Fault, right? This is in Los Angeles, California, LA County, and that's the San Andreas Fault right there. And so besides doing the percolation test, we would also have to do what we call a geology test. And I'd get Pierre Saint-Amand. He's actually a pretty famous engineer. And I would have to dig a trench about 5 feet deep, 2 feet wide, whole length of the lot, like 100 feet long. And I'll give you an example here. There might even be some open trenches here from being built. Anyways, but so basically you can see that these, if you look at these are only about 50 feet by 100 feet, 50 feet wide by 100 feet deep. Like, here's a good example. Here's a lot there. I'm trying to find you a lot here between two. Well, you can kind of see the definition, right? Look right here. Here's a little corner lot right here. And so this is only about 50 feet by 110 feet, something like that. And not a lot of room for a perk, for a septic field, but the things were selling like crazy. This little puddle was the lake, and the terrain is such that you can get a lake view out of some of this on both sides of the lake. And so I started buying up lots, and after I bought about 20 lots, I started building. And I was getting about $100 a foot. This is back in 1985, 86. And I do pretty well, to be honest. I'd make about $100,000. I'd make about, I'd sell, it would cost me, math on this. It would cost me about $100,000 for the lot and to build the place out. And I'd make about $70,000. So it cost me, basically $100,000, and I'd sell it for $170,000. And so I built 3 houses out here, and yeah, and Rich in the class is one of my millionaires. Rich, who's watching right now, is in the class, in the mentorship, and he was like, I think he's one of my first land millionaires. And and man, I'll tell you what, as Rich knows, you make $1 million on a piece of land, turn that into a building or two, and now you got $100,000 or a couple $100,000 a year coming in for life. So, but this is where it started for me, and it was this revelation. I build a home. I have to get plans, pull a permit, and hey, by the way, while you're here, hit that subscribe button while you're here, and like the channel, and it helps it, and put some comments in there, any questions you got, or jump in the chat too. But I would build a property. You go through, you get your plans drawn, and then you finally break ground, go through the permitting process and all the inspections. I had an inspection today. Actually, I just called for an inspection tomorrow on an addition. And that's another thing I want to say. I've been doing this for 43 years. Nothing's changed. When it comes to building, there's more bureaucracy and more bullshit. They got more people trying to do the job of one than ever before. That's just city crap. But as far as the business of buying and selling land, buying and selling property of any type, it's the same. Don't let any of these fake gurus tell you differently. It's the same. They don't know. They haven't been around long enough. But it's the same. It doesn't really change. Now, of course, we got the internet and different things. We got Google Earth now, which is a wonderful thing. But don't be fooled by that. That's all I'm going to say for now on that. But so I built 3 houses. And, it was really, I'd already done so well in real estate, buying and selling buildings, that this was just, I thought, what the hell? And, I had people working for me too. And I'd sub out most of the trades, of course. We'd do the cabinets. That's about the only thing we do, because I'm in a cabinet shop. And I'd get done, and within 6 months, I'd have the thing sold, and I'd make, $70,000. Well, after I bought up 20 lots, I started running out of money, and then I got a partner, and I started buying up more lots with his money now. And then after the 3rd house, right about the 3rd house I sold, I had accumulated so many lots that I thought, I'm never going to build all these houses. And I got way more lots than I'm going to build houses. And I sold 3 lots for 60 grand. In other words, I'm sorry, for 90 grand, but I made 20,000 on each of those lots. And I thought, wow, I made 60 grand in about 2 hours work selling 3 lots, as opposed to the, really, I said I made 70 grand on a house, but really I made 20 of that was on land. So really I only made 50,000 per house, which still was a lot back then, by the way. This is like 1985. And so I started doing the math and I thought, wow, I made 60 grand, 2 hours work, as opposed to 6 months traveling back and forth, checking on the job, paying subs and doing all the things you got to do, interim financing, all that sort of thing that goes with building a home, getting a construction loan. And that was it. I was done. I thought, you know what? It doesn't even compare. And so then I began selling off lots. And somewhere I've got my book. Yeah. And you'll see in this book, in just a matter of a couple of years, I had about $10,000 a month coming in on notes. I would carry a note on a lot of this stuff, and that was it. And there's a fortune to be made buying and selling land. And these are lots, right? This is a subdivision. It really doesn't look much different. I mean, I'm sure there's been 100 homes built since then in this area, maybe more. But, this is spread out between probably, God, there might be 500 lots in here. I don't know, But you can see, look at them, all narrow, skinny, just really, and that's kind of the trend today, right? Things getting smaller all the time. So, yeah, Rich, I'm glad you chimed in here. So, Rich made, tell me if I'm wrong, Rich, I think you made $800,000 on the first deal. Or no, I'm sorry, maybe it wasn't the first deal, but you made 800 on one, I think 150 on another, and about 250 on another one after that. And it's changed, Rich will tell you, it changed his life. I got a testimonial. I did a great interview with him. It was very exciting. I was very excited for him. It's really neat to see people basically follow my footsteps and start making money the same way I did. And I want to remind everybody, get in a webinar. You see above my head here, and it'll be in the links below. FlipAnythingUSA.com/webinar. And while you're in there, also go to FlipAnythingUSA/mentorship and also get my book. You don't want to miss my book. It's been a bestseller on Amazon, Audible, and Kindle. You can see it behind me. Wake Up and Smell the Real Estate. And believe me, if your eyes are glazing over when we talk about this stuff, then this isn't your subject. Okay, for sure not. And I only like the best and brightest. I like people that are hungry to make money. I really like guys like Rich that are, 30 plus years old, that are smart, and look how he's made over $1 million in a very short time. I think it's about $1.7 million now, and it's a wonderful thing. So GLH just wrote, real estate newbie here. Is it possible to make $100,000 a year after taxes with just single family rentals? Well, yeah. No. I mean, let me explain to you. Yeah, so Rich just wrote, yeah, I made almost $1 million just flipping a single family and land. Yep. So, but real estate newbie, making $100K in rents on, and it takes a while to get there. It's very important you flip in the beginning, because it doesn't matter if you're getting a 30% return on 10 grand. That's a great return, but you're going to get rich $3,000 a year on that 10 grand. You need to take that 10 grand, buy a lot, flip it, and make 20. That's what I did. I made most of the $20,000 profits that I made, that you see down here. And like I said, for every one of these blue dots, there's, 5 to 7 lots that I bought. So for every one of these you see, every lot I bought for 10 grand, I'd make about 20. And some I'd take in the form of notes, and I had people paying me $100 to $200, $250 a month. So understand that the key is you got to flip, because it doesn't. If you're making 100% a year on 10 grand, you might think, dude, but that means you got equity. Anything that pays you over 10% interest as on the cap rate, if anything that pays you over a 10 cap on a piece of property, means you have profit there. You have equity there. And if you have equity there, what you want to do is get that equity out. Maybe I'd like to just get rid of the whole damn thing. I don't like to hold a lot of property, or not single family properties. You know what I mean? I don't love houses for long term. And I've made millions and millions of dollars on houses. But usually I take the profits from my land that I flipped, like Rich did, He bought a commercial and industrial properties. That's what I do. I'll take 3 or 4 houses or maybe 5 houses sometimes, and I'll roll the profits from those into buying something that has a much greater return and a much more, in other words, it's just something that will sustain me for a very long time. But I always keep cash on hand to flip, because you got to have that. That's your fuel, right? That's your fuel. That's your gas to get from point A to point B. You got to have a gas tank, and you got to have a vehicle to get there, and that's what cash will do for you. So on GLH, it's smart that you start playing with the houses, but I mean, look at everything. There's so much around you. There's probably more land. There's probably more lots than houses out there, but there's houses everywhere, and people need a place to live, and people can justify it. And banks will loan money on houses before they'll loan on land. So houses is a really good place to start. It's a good place to start, and so I'm glad you're looking at it. How old are you, anyways? GLH. Michael just wrote, I got 2 pieces of land. Tell us about your land, Michael. And Alberto just wrote, Tom, what do you think about people buying and renting more than one property, letting it pay itself off in like 15 years? Look, I have a rule. I won't buy anything that doesn't pay itself off in 15 years anyways. In other words, it's got to pencil well enough that if there's an amortization schedule, fully amortized 15 years, it still needs to give me a return over and above that. So just keep that in mind, Alberto. If you're a busy person, you can get rich slow, you can get rich fast. If you want to get rich kind of fast track, what you need to do is you buy a property under market, and it sounds easy, and it actually is fairly easy, but you got to know what you're doing. But you buy a property under market and then turn it. Because if you buy it right, that's the thing. You can take 10 grand, buy something under market. Let's say you pay 10 grand, you get something financed. If you buy it right, you turn it, and now you make 30, right? Now you got 30 grand. So if you can take 10 and turn it into 30 in just a couple months, why on earth would you want to just simply sit on an asset that's going to make you, it'll make you that much money over a very long term, but not that quick. In other words, you're making whatever, 300% on your money if you do, if you can, triple what you spent to buy something. So that's the key. The thing is you want to turn. So let me give you an example. So like with these lots, every time I would turn these properties, I'd take that cash. I took a lot of it in the form of a note, so I didn't have to. I'd pay my taxes over time because I was getting the income received over a period of time. Now there's some risks inherited with this too, by the way. When you carry a note, if people go into bad times, they'll stop paying on the note. They'll let that property go. They got to eat, they got to take care of their kids or whatever their situation is. So, it's not a perfect. And I've had notes that were paid to me that people started having trouble on. And some I've just said, you know what? If I was in a second, I'd say, you know what? I'm just going to sign it off. You can keep the property. In other words, just keep paying the first and it's yours. Sometimes I was in the second position. Other times I've been in the first. But so these are lots that you typically, the kind of stuff that you would drive by in your neighborhood, or you'd find a subdivision somewhere outside of that. But don't limit yourself to that. Also, let me just show you. I was out in the desert area. This is still LA County, but I made $130,000 off of 10 acres out here. I bought it for $30,000 and I sold it for $165,000, and it was just wonderful because now I had a note that was paying me I think $1,000 a month. Plus, I put quite a bit of cash in my hand, and then later I got another big one out here. Where is it? Yeah, here it is. This was really a cool one. This is really exciting one, by the way. This is back around 1989 actually. 1989 is when I flipped this one. I bought it for $140,000 for 70 acres, and this is basically it right here. And I bought it for $140,000 and I sold it for $520,000. Bought it for $2,000 an acre, sold it for $7,000 an acre, and I made $350,000. It was nice. And so I put more than $50,000 cash in my pocket, and then I carried a note of almost $300,000, and now they were paying me $2,500 a month, and that went on for quite a while. Almost $30,000 a year coming in. GLH wrote, thank you for answering my question. I'm not young, unfortunately. I'm 43 years old. I own houses, live in one and rent the other. I only recently woke up to smell the real estate. Good for you. Hey, listen, GLH, get in the webinar. I got a webinar Thursday. Fill out the mentorship survey, and I'll jump over here to share this. I love doing what I'm doing. I can do whatever I want, and having these choices is really cool. Earlier I'm doing an addition. I don't have to do it, but I'm doing it. It's property I bought a while back. I'm expanding it. The tenant that's inside is well loved, and so we're taking care of. But go to FlipAnythingUSA. Jerry here has done a bunch of 6-digit flips, and he's. And now he just did one that's more than 7 digits. Okay, he made $2 million on a single deal, and and Rich here's in the class. He's watching right now. He's in the chat. He's also one of the millionaires that and I got a bunch of them in the class now. But some of these guys here just made $100,000 or $50,000 or $10,000 or $20,000 or this guy here, Ron, when he did that testimony, he was up to $200,000 profit, right? Today, he's over $3 million, maybe four. And the same thing here with Liam. He's a carpenter like me, and he's actually he's doing a major remodel right now, and he's got a beautiful lakeside property, and he bought it right, and he's going to make a killing on it. So, anyways, anybody got any questions on anything regarding land? Fire away. And I'll even take you. Let me show you another lot. I'll show you another lot I made $2.5 million on. So this one was quite a while later. Let's see. I don't even recognize this one. Let's see what this one is. Oh yeah, that's another one. Yeah, yeah. That's one that got away. Could have been better. Let me just show you something else. Hang on. This is a piece of dirt that, and this is actually a really good example. I'm glad we talked about this, and we brought this up. So this is 50 acres, and I bought this for $205,000. Okay, and basically it's almost taken up half the screen, more than half the screen. See where it says American Trail? From there all the way down here to the bottom, everything you see on the right, and see this is actually the folks that I sold this to. This is already completely built out. There's 180 homes on this thing right now, and it's got a creek running through it. Which, by the way, you need to be aware that when you see a creek, a lot of times that's where the sewer is. In other words, they'll put the sewer underneath the creek because, look, water, they got sewer. The easiest place to put a sewer is in the lowest point of a piece of land. And guess what? Lowest point, that's where the water gathers and runs. And but anyways, this was so exciting. I remember I was thrilled. I couldn't believe it when I came out there and I found a manhole out in the middle of this dirt, a manhole, right? There was a sewer. Nobody seemed to be aware of it. Anyways, I got this property for $205,000. Could have sold it for $1 million the next day. I held it a while. I ended up selling it for $2.5 million. And and I rolled that $2.5 million, and I bought a couple of nice big commercial buildings that probably bring in $500,000 a year now or more. Net to me. And so that's the kind of thing that can happen. It really is important. How long did you have that 30K land out in the desert? About 3 weeks. Okay. Yeah, that's a good question. I'm glad you asked. So he's asking about the land that I showed you earlier. And this is out in the desert in California. But yeah, so this one right here, this is just 10 acres. This is probably what is that? That's quite a bit bigger. Yeah, a little 10-acre squares, not much bigger than that circle. But yeah, I bought it, and listen, I didn't want to keep it. I bought it and sold it. And in fact, I sold it to a doctor out in, if you go, this map gets big, he was out in Hesperia. Hesperia is way out here, up above here, and past San Bernardino Mountain, somewhere out there. and a doctor and his wife. I remember they're both involved with it, but they bought it for $165,000. In fact, did I pay 10 for that lot? No, you know what? I didn't pay 30. I paid 10. Did I pay 10? Doesn't matter. Let's just say I paid 30. Anyways, I paid 30,000 and sold it for 165, and it was easy money. That's why I tell you, in the beginning, when you're young, especially, listen, you can accumulate. If you got a good job, you can buy a house, and then save your money up and buy another house. Save your money up and buy another house. And over a period of 5 or 10 years, you might accumulate 5 to 15 homes. And they'll have mortgages and they'll pay down, and then by the time you're 40, you'll be a multimillionaire. You can do that. Now I'm a little more impatient than that. I wanted to make money quicker. And once you make $1 million fairly quickly, you realize, hey, I got my whole life to I can keep replicating that kind of success, and you'll do fantastic. So let me get to some of these. Virgil wrote, hey, Tom, you doing videos earlier in the mentorship as well? I know who you are, Virgil. As well, never too late to start. I'm learning so much. Yeah, Virgil is a great example. He's right. You're never too late. Listen, if you can make $1 million in a year, I mean, how old do you got to be, right? How old do you got to be to appreciate that? It's just a very, very cool thing. Alberto came back. Hey, Tom, if you ever come to Tampa and do a meetup in Ben Mala's hotel I'm in, and you don't have to worry about the food, my family will feed you. Okay. Well, the Mexican food sounds great. I wouldn't mind. I'm actually going to start doing some live seminars. In fact, I'm working on an ad right now, and I plan on going to Florida. I plan on, hitting all kinds of parts of the country. Michael just wrote, but number one, hey, sign up for the webinar. The webinar will get you on the list, and you'll know if I'm coming to a seminar in a city near you. You'll find out very quickly. Michael wrote, I have an acre and a half in New York. It's priced around $40,000. It's up by Woodstock, New York. Another piece of land in Oklahoma. Okay, so Michael, how'd you happen to get these properties? Did you buy them? Did you inherit them? How'd you get them? And GLH wrote, how did the original seller not sell it for $160? Dude, that's the secret sauce that's in the mentorship. Okay, get in the mentorship, GLH. Listen, you're 43 years old. Look at Virgil, as even in the class who's talking right now. I think he might be a little bit older than you. And I got plenty of students that are older than you, and I got plenty of students that are younger than you. So you're never too late. 100%. You're never too late. But if you don't want to educate yourself, and it takes, listen, educating yourself it can be a chore. But if you love it, if you're excited about it, it's not. And I can tell you, I feel like I've hardly worked, a day in my life. And believe me, I've over leveraged myself, and I've been in tight spots before and had some stress and this and that, but it's kind of like good stress. It's like, oh my gosh, I got millions of dollars of real estate, and I'm really, it's really tough. It's really getting rough right now. I always know that I can sell off my property and recover. It's the strain was in holding on to the property where I spread myself too thin. But I mean, whatever. The option is Michael, you inherited them. So let me say, first of all, Michael, you need to find out what they're worth, okay? And you got to really do your due diligence to find out what they're worth, because people that don't, and many people that inherit wealth and inherit property like you, they sell it too cheap. I know, because I bought a lot of inherited wealth, very much under market, and it made millions of dollars on it. And somebody puts property up that they didn't do much, and it's just how it goes. You got to do your due diligence. So make sure you look into it. Yeah, do GLH. Get in the webinar Thursday night, but fill out the mentorship survey and write in there something so I know you're GLH. And but let me tell you the order to do this. Get the book. No, get that ordered now or right after you sign up for the webinar. And then sign up for the mentorship. The mentorship, very important, because if you do that, you'll be able to talk to me for free. Personally, I'll talk to you. And I've been helping people for free long before I even, started doing the mentorship. But I can give you better guidance if I just kind of have a little bit of information on you, right? Where you're at, what you make, how much you got in the bank. And it's not that I want your money. I don't care about, I'm not somebody that looks for money to invest like Chris Crone, Grant Cardone. They're like piranhas on people's wallets. So, but I got no interest in that. I'm just interested in teaching you a skill, and yeah, you're going to compensate me for it. But if you're like Rich, you're going to get it 500-fold or more. Or like Jerry, even these guys are fantastic, and you can be too. So don't think for a second that all these guys. Take a look at them, all ages, anywhere from early 20s to 60s, and we got many millionaires in that little glimpse there. And there's nobody that's got testimonials like I got. Nobody. There's go to Pace Morby's site. He's got 30 testimonials and nobody mentions making $1. It's very sad. But in all honesty, that's why I look for people that are bright and smart. I'm not looking for gullible. I'm not looking for young and inexperienced. You can be inexperienced if you're willing to build your brain. That's fine. But if you're not smart enough to do your due diligence and to make sure that the mentor that you're dealing with is smart, you should make sure that I'm smart, right? You want to make sure that I know what I'm doing. And people don't do that. People hire people blindly and they pay for it later on. Send me the website and you'll look into signing up. Yeah, it's FlipAnythingUSA. It's the same name as the channel, FlipAnythingUSA.com. But yeah, Michael, be careful because believe me, the wealth that's squandered with inherited. And I'll give you a story. So look, Michael, this is for everybody watching. This it's a good story. I mean, depending on how you look at it. But there was these people, and let me take you out. Let me go back out to the desert. It was out here let me see here. Oh yeah, yep. It was out here, kind of near, in between Antelope Acres and Lancaster. It's kind of between Del Sur, actually, right about where my cursor is. So there's farmers out there, alfalfa farmers, different kinds of farmers, and this old farmer dies. And, I'm a contractor, and a lot of contractors in this area. This desert area is nice and flat, perfect for building homes. In this same area, we've got, huge, you look and see the airport. We got Lockheed, we got Boeing, we got all the big aircraft out here. That's what it's good for. Space shuttle lands out here, all kinds of stuff. Huge Air Force Base, Edwards Air Force Base. So, anyways, when you're a builder, you tend to get up early. In fact, in Vegas, they get up even earlier than Californians because it's so hot. You got to get up at 4 a.m. to beat the heat sometimes, so you can go to work and not be dead by noon. So, but we typically get up and go to a cafe, get some breakfast and coffee. It's just kind of a normal routine for a lot of builders and trades. And he happened to be in a coffee shop, and he overhears these two farmers talking about the other farmer that died, and that they're talking about they're going to auction off his property. And he says, "Hey, I heard you guys talking." And they go, "Yeah, so-and-so." And he goes, "Hey, can you tell me where that is?" And they told him, "Yeah, it's farm's right over here, 160 acres. Okay, 160 acres. And so he finds out about it, goes out there, finds out that a Century 21 agent doesn't know what she's doing. She's a real estate agent that sells houses and just fell into this listing. Again, inherited wealth. The heirs hired her. Didn't even think about hiring a pro on land or hiring somebody that really knows what they're doing. And so he goes out there to this auction out there on this desert, and guess what? He's the only one there. He overheard it from the farmers that happened to see the sign out in the middle of the desert where most people aren't even driving by. And he shows up. Guess what? The people are from Oklahoma, because you said you got a piece of land in Oklahoma, Michael. That's why it made me think of this. And so they come out there from Oklahoma, and he's the only one there looking at the land. And they're in Oklahoma where land's $100 an acre, and the dirt looks the same to me. It looks like desert to them. And so this gentleman says, hey, I'll give you $1,000 an acre. Well, the agent, she's like, she doesn't care. She's just going to get a commission. She doesn't even know what property's worth. Okay. The property was worth about $40,000 an acre. Okay. And so he bought that property for $160,000. They said yes. And then he was very nervous because it was going through probate and everything else. But in a matter of a couple of months, it was done. He owned it. He sold half of the property for $2.5 million, and then he sold the other half for $3 million. So he got like $5.5 million for this 160 acres, and he was done. He was no longer building homes. In fact, he had a partner. I won't say the name of the company because I think there was some hardship because one felt that the other should have shared. But anyways, they were partners in building, but he found this deal. He bought it, and he told his friend, he said, hey, man, you can have the business. I'm out of here. And he, in a very short time, he went from, scrimping together to get that 160 grand to all of a sudden he's got $2.5 million in the bank. And then a month or so later, he's got another $3 million. And he actually went out to Oregon, and I think he bought he got like a 5,000 acre place. It's even cheaper land out there with big redwoods on it, and he started flipping land, and nobody ever saw him again. But it was a nice story. But he made $5 million, and if the kids would have done their due diligence, and maybe I don't know why they were estranged from their dad, but if they'd have done their due diligence, that brother and sister that were out there at that auction sale, they could have had $5 million. Instead, they walked away with $160,000 less the real estate agent's fee. And the agent could have had a whopping. Think about this. He sold that for $5 million. The agents that sold that property, the agent that sold it for $160,000, she probably got 6%, right? So she got about, $9,000 on that sale. The agents that sold the property for $5 million, they got about $300,000. So they made more. The agents made more on the second sale than the kids that sold it too cheap. Really, really a mess. So, hey, Russ, another fantastic student, another multimillionaire student, just like Rich. Good to see you in here. Yeah, Michael. So, yeah, be sure, don't let this stuff pass you by. I always say it all the time. Don't, skip the bar and go to the webinar. Skip the bar and go to the seminar. But, Russ here, same thing. He's killing it too. And he bought some inherited wealth too. Russ, I was thinking about you. Russ actually did pretty well on he got a property about $1 million under market. And it's a little bit related to the story that I just told you. So anyways, anybody got any other questions on real estate or, interest rates or anything you want to talk about, we can talk about. But anyways, I'll be wrapping it up here pretty quick. But listen, number one, get in the webinar, sign up for the mentorship, get the book. You don't want to miss the book. Wake Up and Smell the Real Estate. It'll be the best $10-20 you ever spent. You can get it on Audible. You can get it on, Kindle. And, I'll read it to you if you get it on Audible. And, it'll be the best money you spent. That I promise you. And many of the people in here that are watching right now became millionaires. And they started with the book, just so you know. So, anyways, Michael, you can talk to me about your properties. When you fill out the mentorship survey, we can have a phone call. So anyways, I'm going to call it quits, everyone. Thanks for hanging out, and look forward to seeing you. Please hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, helps channel. And we'll be talking about more, adventures. Like I've been doing this for 43 years. I got so many great stories, making hundreds of thousands, even millions of dollars, lands, building, all kinds of stuff. So we'll look to see you guys sometime soon. Get in that webinar. You want to learn how to make millions of dollars in real estate? I've made tens of millions over my lifetime, and I'm showing people how to do it. Get in my free webinar. I have it every Thursday, 7 p.m. Central. Go to the link below, FlipAnythingUSA.com/webinar. Sign up for it. You can talk to me face-to-face if you want. Don't waste any time. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that like button. You don't want to miss my channel. I've been doing it for years.